Hey conversationalists! So today's topic is going to be problems regarding functions of communication. And we know that there are 5 functions of communication, but we won't be involving social interaction in this one. So firstly, there's emotional expression. And as we all know, emotional expression is always involved when talking with someone. And let's say you're ranting about something that you really hate to your friend. And when you're overreacting and talking about something like that, you are bound to ignore what someone else is feeling. And it can get quite distasteful. And obviously your friend is not going to be interested in anything that you say further because you're going to ignore what they feel about it. More examples of this are actually conversations with parents. And it's mostly when they're scolding you and telling you to do certain stuff. Another are arguments affected by emotional feelings. And the thing about these two are that they can go overboard. So, what strategy should you use when this happens? The most importantly, when you're talking to someone, it's very important to listen, because that way you can make your sound a judgment and it won't be affected by anything else. Always keep that in mind. So the second function of communication is information. And when we talk, we tend to ask information about certain things, no matter how important it is or how not so important it is. And when we ask somebody, we can't exactly rely on the information that they get. There are problems that we encounter when asking for information, and number one is being biased. Because obviously when you're talking to someone about a certain thing, they're going to talk about it in their own subjective point, which leads us to number 2, misinformation. So misinformation happens very frequently. And recently it has been happening a lot on social media like Facebook, Tumblr, and Twitter. You can't exactly rely on the things that you find online, and you have to really analyze them. Otherwise, you're going to get articles that are basically unreliable and biased. So, when you search online, you have to make sure that you analyze the sources that you get and make sure to see if they're actually legit. So what strategy should you use when you're encountering this kind of problem? So I suggest that when you encounter this kind of problem, you make sure to ask someone who actually knows what they're trying to say. And our third topic is motivation. So when you talk to someone, it's very often to, talk about something that you really like. But then when you talk about something that you really like, you aren't exactly sure if the feeling that you have for it is correct or right. So what exactly is wrong motivation? So in the viewpoint of our group, wrong motivation just simply means that you're getting motivated for the wrong reason. So let's say, for example, you're talking to your mom about something that's very important. And obviously that's something that's very important is the fact that you fail your exam. And your mom is just very chill about it, saying that it's okay. But then you tell her, but mom, you said you would get me an Xbox if I pass the exam. So obviously that is the wrong reason. So what exactly is right motivation? In our group's viewpoint, again, right motivation simply means being motivated for a good reason, a good reason that isn't negative, a good reason that won't, push you to do something that you don't exactly like. But you'll have to do it anyway because of the reason that you were given. So our last topic is going to be regulation and control. So as you probably would know, if you talk to someone on a daily basis, there's going to be a certain way that you try to control the conversation. So let's say you're talking to someone and that person is just continually saying something and you just nod and nod and nod. And obviously that is not a very good way of, regulating a conversation, because if you just keep doing that, then you're probably not exactly listening and attentively listening to what that person is trying to say. So what strategy are you supposed to use? And contrary to what people believe, when talking to someone, you should really do not hesitate to ask questions, because obviously if you don't understand what that person is trying to say, you have to ask questions. And when you're talking, there's always going to be a certain way that you handle a conversation. And basically, if we're going to sum it all up, there's four basic functions of communications. All you have to really do is be a responsible conversationalist, because when you're a responsible conversationalist, there are things that you will be able to handle very well, and you won't be biased, or you won't be too subjective when talking to someone. And that's basically it. Thank you for watching this video, and this is brought to you by Group 2 from Babbage. Thank you again, and have a good conversation.